I went and did a 10-day silent meditation retreat. And because of doing that, I made the choice that I could be a mum.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow.
What happens when you win the big deal? Friday night, you go down to the pub, you celebrate, you open the beers and champagne, everyone's fantastic. What happens when you lose the big deal? Everyone in, 8 o'clock Monday morning, massive overreaction to losing the deal. What I think you got to do is you got to flip that. In other words, when you lose the big deal, go down the pub, have a few beers, don't overreact to it. When you win the big deal, everyone in Monday morning, why did we win?
If none of the consulting companies will want me in Spain, where could I go? Where they would want me. Mm-hmm. And luckily I found out that in the UK, it was actually good to be, not just, the consulting companies were looking for people that were not just engineers and not just mathematicians or physicians. They were looking for diverse people. So they wanted to build diverse teams. And I got into LEK, which is, a very good firm there. And that's how it all started. So I guess that was, probably the first big instance of doing something radically different.
Wow, so the UK showing absolute diversity and welcoming those different approaches, so great.
Yeah, and now, 50, 20 years later in Spain, it seems like they're actually looking for people like that. And it was funny, but 3 years after I joined, LEK in the UK, I was then looking to go back to Spain. And I was contacted by, 3 of the strategy consulting firms that 3 years earlier had said, you don't tick any of the boxes.
Wow. So you had to remove your emotion and not stick 2 fingers up and start talking to them.
And I got this diagnosis and I thought, wow, that explains a lot. And then I thought, wow, I can be fixed now. The medical profession can make me well. For a while they did with therapy and medication, but then the depression came back, Jeff, and it came back with a loss of hope and a sense of futility. And my story gets a bit darker there, where I wanted it all to be over. I made an attempt for it to be over. But from that real low point with the love of close friends and family, I learned to manage my condition. And what I learned was that therapy and medication and that clinical support helps, but also being proactive about managing my wellness, getting good sleep, exercising, prioritizing connections. And over the years, I learned to effectively manage my mental well-being and my associated challenges pretty well, and also enjoy some of the strengths that come with that.
And this cashier woman looks at me and says, "What are you here for?" And I said, "I'm here for a job." And she said, "Go around the back entrance." So I went around the back entrance, knocked, saw this chap, Harry, who was their ops director, who ended up working for me actually. And Harry said, he was really horrible to me. What the hell are you doing here? You can't just turn up, da, da, da. And I jokingly said to him, "Isn't that what bailiffs do?" And he went, "Come in." And we went in and we sat down. And he said to me, "Look, I'm going to send you out with one of my best bailiffs tomorrow for 2 days. If he tells me that you can do it, we'll give you a go." And that's what happened. But then within months, Jeff, I realised that the industry was horrendous, right? Many people in the industry were the criminals. It wasn't necessarily the people who hadn't paid fines. I mean, when I was a self-employed bailiff, I was collecting debts on behalf of the UK Magistrates Court. So I was going to people's homes that had been fined for possession of drugs, prostitution, knife crime, battery, etc., etc. But some of my colleagues were equally as badly behaved as the people we were going to collect from.
Something was nagging me. I thought, sure, I'm doing something. And the phone went. There was a guy called Mike Parry, who's now known as Mike Porky Parry, from TalkSPORT. It was Talk Radio in those days. He said, "Where are you?" I went, "Hey, who's this?" He said, "Mike Parry." I went, "Yeah, who are you?" He said, "What do you mean, who am I? You're doing radio for Talk Radio in 20 minutes. I went, "What? Where?" He said, "Oxford Street." And I'm thinking, any glass of wine, you know what I mean? It was one of them, forgot all about it. Jeff forgot all about it. So I said, where in Oxford Street? So I said to the waiter, "Excuse me." He said, "Oh, 5 minutes round the corner." I went, "Oh, all right, I'll be there." And he had the hump with me. I walked in and I said to Paul Miller, "Come with me," So the two of us are there, and he's growling at me, "Paddy, you forgot." I said, "No, I didn't. I was only winding you up. I had forgot." So anyway, I said, "Where's the scripts? What do I do?" He said, "Nothing. Just go in there, the booth. You're on in 2 minutes. Go into the booth and just say hello."
I'm most grateful for the fact that I went and did a 10-day silent meditation retreat. And because of doing that, I made the choice that I could be a mum.
Wow.
And I mean, you've just met me, everyone just listening might not just met me. I'm fairly talkative. So doing 10 days of silence was quite a thing. And you don't look at people either. But I am most grateful that I made the decision to do something so out of my comfort zone that then gave me the space for me to go, I could rewrite the rules of my childhood. So I could be a mum in a way that I wanted to be as a gay woman and in the way that I want him to thrive and be happy. And so that's what I'm most grateful for.
So around this time, my daughter was, she was still a child. She was in primary school. But so that I could be close to her, because I'd done a lot of traveling in the first few years of her life, so that I could be close to her, in my home office, she would have a little playpen and she would play around, and, whenever I'd have a call, she would know to be quiet and, all the rest of it. We had this little thing going on. And after a couple of years, we had a garden party just with family and friends. And halfway through, she came to the patio doors with about 6 or 7 of her cousins. And she said, right, everyone, we've made you stuff to buy. And if you don't have any money, we've made you credit cards too. And everyone looked at me and said, Julian, what have you been teaching this poor child? You've been teaching her these evil corporate ways. And actually, I hadn't taught her a thing. She had just absorbed everything that Dad was doing, and she was just replaying it in a way that a child does, right? Children just pretend to be like adults. And so it then dawned on me that, well, if a 7-year-old can pick this stuff up unintentionally, what if we deliberately taught it? Now, my wife is an early years teacher, so she's in a lot of experience, expert educator. And we then realized that actually, if you unpack entrepreneurship, it's a bunch of teachable skills. Yes, people are born with a few, things that can give them an advantage, but actually, you can teach teamwork, you can teach leadership, you can teach problem solving.
I was then offered a commission to become, wait for this, an air traffic controller, and I didn't want to do that job, but in the back of my mind, I just kept on thinking, it's a foot in the door. Sometimes you have got to take that leap of faith to actually, get some traction on the route that you want to take. And I was really hopeful though that I would be able to change the Air Force's mind. And I joined the Air Force as an air traffic controller, and I wrote hundreds of letters to anybody that would hear my case. And I think I just wore them down, or I bored them senseless. And I finally got a letter back just basically saying, to my name, Mandy Hickson, we'd like to offer you this branch change to pilot. And I was like, yes, I've broken their system. And then it basically said, we're taking you on to test case, and we'd like to see how far through the flying training system someone with no aptitude can get before they fail. And I'm there sort of reading this thinking, hold on a minute, I'm being given the opportunity of a lifetime, but being told in a small print, you probably won't make it.